And also, once again, as we did on the Thursday show, I want to give a huge shout out slash honor to Mr. Akira Toriyama, who unfortunately passed away on March 1st, and we just learned about it on Thursday night. I spent the whole weekend just talking about Dragon Ball Akira and just retweeting a bunch of stuff. So I don't want to hear any of you motherfuckers say I'm too negative. I spent 3 entire days posting nothing but positivity, But it was good, man. It was good to just see people happy about stuff. Obviously, it's for a sad reason, but, it was influential, man. I learned, it was cool for me seeing all the Latin Americans really feeling it, because I missed out on all that. I was already in America, I had no, I found out about the whole impact of that way after the fact, because I was in America, me and Manny got into it, way before everybody else did, And Manny, I'm glad you tweeted about that because you're right. I do remember we used to watch Dragon Ball on that Chinese station, Obviously the subtitles were in Chinese, we couldn't understand, but it was cool,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if you came home at the right time, you could catch because our friend Navarro lived closer to that area of where that area of Chinatown is in Queens.
Yeah.
So he got it the clearest. But if you lived closer to that part of Main Street, you got that channel. And when you came home in the evening, after school, you could actually watch episodes of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the frequency was a little off because I was near Navarro, so my reception was okay sometimes. That was back in the day, people. Back in the day,
back in the day. Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's just because obviously most people in America, they got into Dragon Ball because of Toonami. But I'm like, me and Manny were into that shit before that. And we remember the Ocean dub. That was the first time they brought it over.
Yeah, we watched all of those episodes of Dragon Ball Z, all the episodes of Dragon Ball Z and the movies before they even hit here in the States. In fact, by the time 2015 is when, excuse me, not 2015, 1995. When we were 15, that's when Toriyama stopped doing Dragon Ball Z officially.
And that's also when it started airing in America. And then, because I know, again, the Toonami one was in the late 90s. I'll be honest, I only kind of sporadically watched it here and there because I had already seen them, And I
already saw it.
Yeah, I already saw it, and I didn't like the edits they were doing, even though Toonami wasn't as brutal as the Ocean dub with the edits, and they even showed the unedited versions late at night. But again, we had already seen it, and again, I was just the original voices, man. They're the ones I still cling to, Goku, that's Goku, not Sean Schemmel. Shout out to Sean Schemmel. But saying power, I don't know about that.
And he's the third guy doing an impression.
The first dude that did Goku was really good. The Ocean dub guy, he was really good. I feel that was the best Goku, American Goku. Sean Schemmel got better though. I will say that he got better. By the time he did Kai, I did watch all of Kai though. Way fucking 30 years later or whatever. Whenever that aired on the new Toonami. Sean Schemmel I thought was a lot better. But yeah, the original Ocean guys were good. But yeah, like you said, by that time we had already seen all that stuff, I don't even remember the music, the intro for Toonami Dragon Ball Z. Don't know it.
It was that stupid song. Dragon.
I thought that was the Ocean dub.
They still did it.
Oh, they still did. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I remember the Ocean dub, Dragon, Rock Dragon. I remember that shit. I didn't realize the Toonami one had that too. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah.
And shout out to the Latin American dub because they were more faithful to that theme song than even the American dub was.
Did they sing Chala? Did they do that too?
Oh yeah,
nice.
Chala.
And then they also all the voices, the intensity of all the voices is very similar. It's really good. In fact, I think there was one time when they switched studios that was doing the translation of it to like a Spain studio, and I pissed off a bunch of people.
Uh-oh.
There's a Latin American dub and there's a Spanish from Spain dub. So there's two.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Spanish from Spain, the Spain dub is garbage.
Yeah.
Carlos, when you said Latin American dub, like, what about the Portuguese? Like, they had to have Portuguese and Spanish, right? You know.
Well, they have so Latin American Spanish dub and I guess Latin American Portuguese dub.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Probably just for Brazilians, and maybe I don't know if Portugal and Brazil had the exact same dub, but I definitely know that Latin America, Spanish speaking Latin America had one dub, and the Spanish in Spain had their own dub.
Okay, that's pretty dope. Yeah, there's this guy I watch on YouTube called Dan Vass. He's a Brazilian metal singer, and he did Hechala. The guy did a really good job singing it in Japanese, you know. But Carlos, we always talked about it's easier for us to say stuff in other languages because we don't morph the vowels, you know.
Yes.
And he was spot on, you know. And obviously he's Brazilian, so you know he grew up with that shit, you know. So yeah, go ahead.
Most Latin American countries grew up with it way earlier than even the American audiences because
I imagine when did Latin America get Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, I should say.
Dragon Ball, I think it was 1990 if I remember, because there's not much time that I can remember. Like I grew up with Dragon Ball since like I can remember, literally. That's how long it goes for me. But I think it was Dragon Ball was adapted or dubbed in Latin America in the early 90s. I think 1991, and Dragon Ball Z a couple of years later. Yeah. I think Dragon Ball wasn't even as popular as Saint Seiya. Funny enough,
that was huge in Latin America. Yeah, Saint Seiya. Yeah.
Yep. Shout out! It's called Caballeros del Zodiaco. And I used to watch that.
You know,
but Dragon Ball was popular, but it wasn't that popular. Dragon Ball Z, when that came out, just blew up the roof.
Yeah,
and then everyone just went on the craze, and that's why I told the guys on our chat. I said, pretty much anyone under the age of 50 in Mexico has watched Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. Everyone. It's that popular.
That's the thing about Dragon Ball Z in general. Like what is it? Like 3 different generations enjoy it on the same level. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, like I remember like now he's my oldest nephew. Still is my oldest nephew. He was a fucking little kid getting into that shit, and I had already been into it, you know? Now this motherfucker's like 25, obviously still a fucking nut for it. You know, I'm 44 loving Dragon Ball Z. Motherfuckers older than me. They're my youngest nephew. He's not as into it, but he likes it too. He's 12. It's crazy, you know?
Yeah. It's a zeitgeist IP now.
Yeah, it is. And that shit's going to live forever, man, because it's like every fucking shonen anime wants to be Dragon Ball Z. I really loved the creators coming out, like Oda, right, for the One Piece dude, the one from the creator of Naruto. They were all like just singing the praises of Akira Toriyama, talking about how much they influenced them. I remember, I think it was Oda talk about like how honored he felt when Akira Toriyama called him by name. You know, he's like, oh shit, that's what I wanted, you know? I wanted that recognition, you know, senpai recognized me and shit, you know, that shit was dope. Yeah. And I love the fact that those guys don't hide. It's like, yeah, man, fucking like Naruto was like, that shit is Dragon Ball Z. As a matter of fact, my boy Evil Chris, that's how he sold Naruto to me. He was like, yo, this shit's like Dragon Ball Z. The main character has blonde hair and he turns into a monster. I'm like, okay. That's how he sold it to me.
There it is.
It's crazy, man. Blonde hair. He's like, yo, he turns into an Uzaru. I'm like, okay. Check it
out. I mean, Shonen Jump would not be what it is today without that. I mean, most of those guys, like you mentioned, all the mangakas that created Shonen Jump are influenced by Dragon Ball Z directly. Not that indirectly they were influenced. No, directly they were influenced by Toriyama.
Directly, yeah. So yeah, shout out to Akira Toriyama. I know we're not talking about games right now, but this is fucking Akira Toriyama, man. Got to give our respect, you know.
I mean, the games he did
The
have
games,
his
Dragon
Hollywood
Quest,
games.
fucking Chrono Trigger, Blue Dragon, like my man, And that's the thing. I was watching a ton of videos about Akira Toriyama, right? And one guy had a good point. Like he was talking about it was a video specifically about his art style, right? Because his art style is not the same as other anime, very different, right? And then in the same video, the guy brought up a good point. It's like you could say the same thing with Oda, with One Piece. Nothing looks like One Piece, but you only know his art style from One Piece. Whereas with Akira Toriyama, he had his hands on so many things. You could just a regular person could be like, oh, that's that guy, just because it's everywhere,
right.
Fucking dope, man.
It could be its own genre.
It really could. Yeah. It's like that very distinctive art style, very different. I remember even back then when we were watching Dragon Ball Z, we're like, yeah, this is very different than the other anime we're watching because we're watching very adult type of shit, Wicked City, Demon City, Shinjuku, all that, Ninja Scroll, that type of stuff, So that was dope. Fucking, and even now, man, you think about Dragon Ball Z, you think about the power, It's like, I guess you hype.
Power up.
Yeah, motherfuckers screaming, breaking mountains,
When someone's going through a tragedy that they think they could turn Super Saiyan.
It's like, oh, it's coming, Oh, man, and I had to reshare. Remember that black kid who was trying to turn Super Saiyan from 20 years ago? My man, I love the intro. He does like, man, if you could think about it, if you could manifest it, it's going to happen. I'm like, I already like this kid. And then he's like, Y'all remember this one video, that blew up on fucking YouTube. That was the early days of YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
So that shit blew up on YouTube, but then there were other people trying to do it. This one video, the kid screaming. His fucking dad kept saying, what the hell are you doing? And then I shared, and this is from 4 years ago. It was a Japanese commercial for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, right? What a beautiful commercial that was, man. Basically, homeboy, he gets home. He's like an office worker, a salary man, right? He gets home, cracks open his copy of Dragon Ball Kakarot. Then he thinks about all the decades he's had with Dragon Ball Z. My favorite part is when they're running, one kid's like, Kaioken times 3, Kaioken times 20. And motherfuckers just lapping everybody, or they're doing Kamehamehas at each other. And the sister's like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Or they're in the fucking bathroom making their hair all spiky and shit, Man, that's generational shit right there, bro, Blitz says Dragon Ball Z was my after high school show. Also remember they were still showing it on TV when I had left school and was flatting meets, rooming with mates. Dragon Ball's forever. Damn fucking right, man. I could have easily done a whole podcast on Dragon Ball, man. It's crazy.